I think a lot of people secretly enjoy feeling sad, depressed, and sorry for themselves. And I'm sure you watching this right now have met or known someone who was like this. Maybe at one point that was you. And before we get into this, it is probable that some people genuinely can't find a way out. And I'm not saying that to play the middle. I could care less whether I offend someone with my words. However, on the other end of that spectrum, which is what I'm really addressing in this video, is this romanticization of depression and mental health, which is causing this to happen more than the people who are actually quote-unquote clinically depressed. Which are the people that just tell themselves that they're depressed whenever they feel sad, tired, lazy, etc. Any negative emotion or feeling. Whether we're doing it on purpose or not, it's a subconscious way to take the easy way out and validate whatever you're feeling, instead of doing something about it. And it doesn't help that society and social media has romanticized mental health and depression for profit. And let me explain what I mean. We live in a world where people want sympathy, people that feel invisible or less than or inadequate in this world. And sympathy is their way of being seen without actually doing anything of true value. It's a never-ending cycle that the system, I believe, is purporting among the masses purposefully because they have incentives to do so. Think about it, right? If you get attention and sympathy and love for being quote-unquote depressed, you can just make an endless list of things you're a victim of and get love and sympathy for. Why then would you actually do anything to improve yourself and your life? That's a real question. If you are being championed for not only doing nothing but feeling sorry for yourself and for being a victim and sad, etc., and the whole world around you caters towards you for that, you would literally have less than or no incentive to actually do anything. So then now you're in this cycle of having an unfulfilling life, and then getting attention, sympathy, and credited for feelings of said life, then you're incentivized to stay in that state, and then eventually you become actually depressed because of this. It's a never-ending cycle. And the longer you stay in this cycle, the less likely you'll ever be able to get out. You see, you nor I, or anyone for that matter, are special for being depressed. The reality is everyone is or has been quote-unquote depressed. It doesn't make you any different. We all know this. We all just cope in different ways. Some people cope by immersing themselves in work, getting drunk or high, taking drugs, partying, and some people meditate, some people go to the gym, etc. Some people do things that help and others do things that put them deeper in it. Point is, we all go through it. Some people like to talk or cry all day, and some people like to take actions to better themselves. Listen, talking can only do so much. No matter how much you talk about your feelings to some therapist for $150 an hour, at the end of the day, the answer will always be the same, no matter how much you quote-unquote talk about it. And that's actually taking action to better yourself and finding a purpose to a fulfilling life. I'm not saying that talking about it necessarily is a bad thing. I understand getting things off your chest. Even though that's not something I personally need to do, I've never found it productive or useful to go to someone and say, can I talk about my problems, or for someone to give me sympathy to validate my bullshit. From a logical standpoint, it's not a productive solution that results in a net positive for me at least. Like, that's just not conducive to the solution. That's just seeking validation and sympathy and wanting someone to cater towards me. What I'm saying is that the conclusion and answer to feeling depressed will always be the same. And it's not talking to some therapist for hundreds an hour or paying pharmaceutical companies for antidepressant pills, constantly going to the doctor or therapist so they can make money off you. And I'm not gonna say that's why they want you to be depressed, but matrix things. But the reality is that the system does support and champion people being quote-unquote depressed because they profit off you being in a negative state. And also, forget about the profit, it also makes people a lot easier to control and work for the system. If you're depressed, staying on social media all day, staying complacent in your lives, slaving away to the system like a bot, feeling bad about your situation and life, they want you to stay at a low state and make the railroads effectively. And I'm no psychiatrist, physician, etc., but to anyone that's quote-unquote clinically depressed or on antidepressant pills talking to a therapist and it's not working, this is what worked for me at least, but make a list of 5 to 10 goals, not small irrelevant things like I'll wash the dishes once a week. But real goals that you actually want to accomplish that will better your life. Accomplish all 5 to 10 of those goals, and I will bet everything that you won't feel the same as you did before. My point is, the action and answer will always remain the same. And then you might ask, okay, that's vague, doing what? It's easy to say that in general, but that's for you to decide. What are your passions? What makes you feel whole? Where do you see yourself? These are all questions we gotta answer, or you will just go back to feeling sad, empty, and calling yourself depressed. And that answer isn't nothing. Everyone's got something that gets them going. Accomplishing goals that benefit you, no matter how small they are, will improve your state. Like, we as human beings in society, we gain confidence by doing things and accomplishing our goals time and time again. The more you do, the more you know you can do, that builds character. And when you feel yourself growing, your confidence grows as well. This is how confidence is built, and that's how you understand who you really are. Like, try to become vibrant and passionate about something. It's like your own superpower. And I never understood this programming of love yourself no matter what and everyone's special. Like, why would you love yourself if you're sitting on your ass, out of shape, no goals, no aspirations, no anything? On social media all day in your drawers eating Doritos at 4 a.m. Like, I don't get why would you or even should you love yourself? Like, it sounds harsh, but it's true. Like, you're then telling yourself that's okay and you're putting yourself in a deeper hole. It's just coping. And also, not to mention, there is this weird cathartic feeling to being sad and feeling sorry for yourself. That almost kind of feels good, and I know you guys know what I'm talking about. It's an extremely dangerous trap to put yourself in. And by the way, something I noticed about people who are quote unquote depressed, they always say they are depressed, instead of saying I'm feeling depressed. And I'm not just nitpicking at semantics to reach for a point. There is a subconscious wiring you are programming yourself. When you say you are something, you are identifying yourself with said state, as opposed to what it really is, and that is what you're feeling. What you're feeling is not who you are. Our feelings change. Whenever you say, oh, I am depressed, you are not only attributing that to who you are, you're also kind of subjecting to this false idea that that is your permanent state from here on out. It's a lie you're purposely telling yourself because of the reasons I mentioned before. Like, you might be feeling depressed, but that is not who you are. You have to make that distinction if you actually want to get past it. I mean, if you even do want to get past it. And also, you gotta make sure you work out and exercise. A strong body is the first step to having a strong mind. Everyone knows this. I'm not saying that being shredded and having a six-pack is gonna mean you won't be depressed, but you're significantly more likely to be depressed if you're, let's say, fat and out of shape. I mean, it's pretty hard to dispute that. There's a strong correlation between people who are depressed and out of shape. If you hate what you see in the mirror, of course you're gonna tell yourself you're depressed. And also, you will quite literally feel like shit physically if you're out of shape. Just weak, tired, lethargic, slow, just bad energy. Of course you're gonna feel bad about yourself because you're giving yourself every reason to do so. Again, this body positivity nonsense, it's okay to be 300 pounds, you can still be healthy even if you're 50 pounds overweight. Like, listen, I know we've all seen those commercials of these like whales doing yoga. Like, it's ridiculous. Like, the average weight of women in the US over 20 is like 170 pounds, which is ridiculous. And I think for men it's like 200 pounds at like 5 feet 9 inches, which is also terrible. But again, going back to the system, of course they try to purport this nonsense because they want people to exist at a low state. They profit and feed off those people. And it helps them keep this little game of power and control. Capitalism, consumerism, it all just comes full circle in the end. You're gonna start eating more junk food, smoking weed, taking drugs, drinking. You see how all these things connect with one another? And coincidentally, all these things seem to be what the society and this quote-unquote matrix or system tells you is okay. Like, oh, it's okay to do drugs, smoke weed, vape, drink, be fat, take antidepressant pills, go see a therapist, love yourself. It's kind of funny, isn't it? Kind of convenient. Almost as if all these things put you in a negative state is propagated intentionally. And those stuck within the system will always defend it. It's so crazy because most of these things really just exist in first world countries. And it's because our basic needs are met. It's just become too comfortable, too soft, nothing really makes sense anymore. We complain and argue about nothing. I don't know, man, sometimes it is kind of entertaining though, I'm not gonna lie. Like, just seeing an ad of like this beluga whale doing yoga poses and they're trying to make it seem like it's healthy. I don't know, I'm just talking shit, having fun with it. But yeah, just remember, strong body, strong mind, and together becomes a strong spirit. And something that feels better than just rolling around feeling sorry for yourself is accomplishing your goals and living a life that actually means something. And the key is to try to enjoy the ups and downs as much as possible. Like, what does J. Cole say? There's beauty in the struggle. And I think that's something we should try to embrace more. Anyways, if you guys liked the video, leave a like, comment, or sub. And with that said, make sure you guys stay true. Talk to you guys real soon. Peace.